one wrong choice can cost you everything. One wrong choice can really alter your life forever. Ah, man, you already know what it is. It's the one and only, the Big Seven. And today we're going to be speaking on before I went to prison a little bit. I know y'all ready to hear a lot about the crazy prison stories that I had got into when I was growing up in prison at 15 years old, but I really feel like it's necessary for us to discuss what led up to me going to prison. How did I end up at prison at 15 years old? How did I end up in that situation, committing a robbery at 15 years old? The frame of mind that I was in and what I was going through, the things that I was suffering from and battling from at a young age to get me to being arrested at 15 years old and later on convicted to 13 years in prison at 17 years old. So let's get into it. So, my story is similar to a lot of youth. And that's why I feel like it's necessary for me to speak on this, my story, because it's so similar to a lot of what a lot of youth are facing today. You get what I'm saying? It don't matter what race or what background, ethnicity you come from, you may be suffering the same battles mentally and physically and spiritually. So I want you to really pay attention to a lot of my stories because they may be tied to a lot of things that you may be going through. So when I was young, around 9 years old, I grew up really in a dysfunctional life, dysfunctional home. You know what I mean? No father present. Mother was addicted to drugs and alcohol. My home was very active as far as a lot of drug paraphernalia being, in and out of my home, ran through in and out of my home. A lot of traffic was in and out of my home at a young age. So I saw a lot of things at a very young age that a lot of youth, a lot of kids don't experience, but I did because of the dysfunction of my upbringing. You get what I'm saying? So as a young age, I was seeing and witnessing a lot of things that I may have not supposed to have witnessing, but it was my reality. So when you going through things like that, you can't run. You can't run from it. You just have to handle it the best way that you know how. And as a child, your brain is not fully developed to even understand or comprehend what it is that you're going through. But you just try to fight it the best way that you can. And that's what I was doing. At a very young age, because I didn't have a father in my life, I found myself, veering to the streets at a very young age, trying to find, role models or just, men in my life that, I could hang with and relate to. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, I found a lot of male figures, brotherly type of figures and things like that in the streets. And they wasn't really good role models. They were bad role models and they were bad influences. But like I said earlier, as a child, you're really not able to fully comprehend a lot of things. And I don't want to try to put any blame on anything because at the end of the day, I did make a lot of my own decisions, but we have to understand the frame of mind of a child going through a lot of things in their life. They may not be making the best decisions for themselves. And that's why parenting is always very vital in a child's life. And because my mother was addicted to drugs and alcohol, she wasn't fully even making the best decisions that she should have been making. And that's very known. You know what I mean? That's very known. But she has her own story, and we can get into that later on. That caused her to get into drugs and alcohol. So just keep that in mind, because it's easy to judge a person by the cover of the book. But you have to open the book and read the book so you can actually understand the script or the storyline of the book. If you just jump in there and you don't understand the narrative, then you can just misjudge the whole narrative of the story. You get what I'm saying? So it's very necessary for you to understand the whole story. So unfortunately, I grew up like that. You know what I mean? And a lot of decisions that I made was not the best decisions. It's funny because I was telling my chat on live about when I was younger. I remember this story about when I would go to school and I got a big brother and his name is Jay. And I remember whenever we would go to school, he would take me to school, I would want to listen to Master P and C Murder on my way to school. Like, I love No Limit. I don't know why, I just love No Limit. Like, and I was that kid and I wanted to listen to them on the way to school. And my brother would be like, no, you can't listen to Master P and C Murder on the way to school, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, he's so lame. You know what I mean? Like, dang, bro, you just so lame. Like, why I can't listen to Master P and them before I go to school? And I didn't understand it at first, you feel me? But then he told me, like, bruh, you be too rowdy, you know what I mean, when you listen to that stuff before you go to school. And at that time, I didn't understand it. I didn't fully understand what he was saying. But as I got older, I really realized now what he was telling me. And he was telling me nothing wrong. He was telling me everything right because he wasn't lying. I did let that music influence me before I went to school. Before I went to school in the morning, when I would listen to that, I would be riled up. I would go to school on MS. I would be on my No Limit Soldier vibe. I would be worried, you know what I mean? I was on that, you know what I mean? Like, because I was highly influenced as a child by the music that I listened to. I was highly influenced by the things that I saw. I was highly influenced by that stuff. And I didn't understand it at the time because I was young. But when you're young, you don't understand that music and all of these things that you're seeing is all for entertainment. It's nothing to be taken literally. It's nothing to be taken to heart. It's nothing to be taken like personal. It's nothing to be glamorized. It's nothing to... These people have a job to do. And this is their job. That's it. It's entertainment. Nothing less, nothing more. And as a child, I didn't understand or comprehend that fully. And so I would let everything influence me. I was gullible. I was naive. I was a child. When you was a kid, didn't you follow every trend? When you were a kid, didn't you want to keep up with every new look or new fashion thing that would come out? I mean, it's kind of normal as a child, right? So, and it's just unfortunate that none of the influences in my life were positive, because most people, they have some positive influences and role models to veer them, you know, and veer them to do positive things. And I'm not going to say that I didn't, because I did. I did have, you know, people in my life who tried to talk to me and try to get me to do, you know, positive things with my life. But as a child, again, I did not make the best decisions. But that's why in certain cultures, in certain homes, you see that they don't give the kid a choice. You get what I'm saying? They don't give the kid a choice. And that's because the kid doesn't have the right frame of mind to make the right choice. So you shouldn't allow the kid to make the choice. And if I had a child, I honestly wouldn't allow my kid to make the choice, any choice. I would make almost all the choices. I'm just being real, you know what I mean? Because I know that kids honestly cannot make they won't make the right choice. They won't a lot of times. You know what I mean? And if you want them to, you know, if you want to influence them and veer their path in the right direction, their life in the right direction, then you have to direct it. as a parent, you have to direct it. So, you know, um, I remember when I first started doing pills, I was like 12 years old. I was already popping ecstasy. And that's crazy. Just saying that sounds so crazy, but it's the truth. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember exactly why I wanted to pop an X pill. The reason that I wanted to pop an X pill was because of Gucci. Gucci Mane. He had a famous song called Pills. And in the song, he said, "Is you rolling? Is you geeked up? You geeked up? Which I might be." And in the song, he was just basically glorifying pills, and he was basically telling us how good these pills made him feel. And so, as a 12-year-old kid listening to this, and Gucci Mane being one of my biggest influences, of course, if this is something that Gucci is saying makes him feel good when he on an orange juice and one of these pills, I'm like, this must be it. And as soon as I got the first chance to get my hands on an X pill, I took it. And I did exactly what Gucci said. And I went to the store and I got me an orange juice and I popped it. And by the time I got back to the crib where my homies was at, I was already geeked up and didn't even know it. I was already rolling and didn't even know it. They had to tell me because I had never experienced nothing like that. But I guess my eyes was showing that I was rolling because my eyes was big as quarters. And when they told me that, then everything changed. I finally got nervous and I started like bugging out. You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh my God, like, you feel me? Like, I'm really rolling, like, you feel me? And then I just started tripping. And then I walked around the whole hood for like 30 minutes, walking on foot before I calmed down and went back to the spot. And then, you know, that's a whole another story. The reason that I started doing lean, promethazine, codeine, was because of Lil Wayne. And I'm not trying to bash these bros, because these my favorite artists, bro. You feel me? And I just want to share the frame of mind of a child. That's the only thing I'm doing here, is sharing the frame of mind of a 12-year-old child. You feel me? That's it, bro. I'm not blaming them or their music, because at the end of the day, as a child or no child, I still had a choice. I didn't have to do none of that stuff. No one put a firearm to my head and said, you have to do this. No, I chose to do that stuff. I found this stuff. I was looking for this stuff. Yeah. And that's the frame of mind I was in. I was so far gone that when I heard something, I wanted to do it. When I seen something, I wanted to do it. When I was around something, I wanted to be like that. I was lost. That's the point that I'm making. You get what I'm saying? So don't lose sight of the point that I'm trying to make here. So, but yeah, this is true. When I first started sipping lean, it was because of Lil Wayne and Joel Santana. I was watching a I Can't Feel My Face documentary. And I would watch that on bootleg DVD. This is when they had the bootleg stands outside the gas stations. And the brothers would have the stands, the bootleg stands with the DVDs and the burnt CDs and stuff. and the oils and everything right there, incense and the whole nine right there on stands. And you could pull up and grab you Maz DVDs and stuff. They had the Sub-Zero DVDs, the Hoods, the Coke Boy DVDs. They had they had all they had all the lavish DVDs. You feel? You know what I mean? Oh man, it was so many, man. It was so many great bootleg DVDs back in the day. But yeah, and that's one of the DVDs that I had grabbed on the young side, and I would be at home watching it, and they would be in the studio, and they would be sipping. Guess what they was sipping? They wasn't even sipping promethazine and codeine yet. They was sipping real Robitussin. They was sipping real Robitussin. And when I seen that, I'm like, oh snap, that's real life cough medicine. Like, we got that in our medicine cabinet right now. But we didn't have that necessary, that same exact brand of Robitussin that they was drinking. And I later on found out that, you can't just sip any Robitussin. You feel me? It gotta be a certain kind of Robitussin. You feel me? And I did later on get my hands on that. And and they started putting it behind the counter. This certain brand of Robitussin, they started putting it behind the counter because a lot of kids was getting familiar with it, and they was stealing it from the aisles because it was in the aisles. And the kids started getting hip to it, and it became like out of control, like real out of control. And so they started putting it behind the counter. Yeah, it had got that bad. So yeah, so then, of course, they started getting the real medicated stuff, the codeine promethazine, which I also was able to get my hands on. And that is a whole nother story in itself also. It's just like, these are the kind of influences that I had in my life at a young age. And that's all I'm saying. So yeah, I was gone. And by the time I turned 15 years old, I was basically like not even alive. Like, I was alive, but my mind was gone, like to the point where I was brain dead. Like when you brain dead, like your brain works, but your body don't work. Like, I was the reverse. Like, my body worked, but my brain was literally dead. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I really hate that part of my life because it caused so much trauma. It caused so much hurt. It caused so much pain for not only myself, but for everyone around me. You feel me? And that's just a real negative time of my life that I wish that I could take back, but I can't. And that's why I be sharing my story too, because I really want y'all to understand, bro, that one wrong choice can cost you everything. One wrong choice can really alter your life forever. And you may not know, like, how it will affect you in 5 years or in 10 years, you know what I mean, in 15 years. You don't know how your actions may affect you later on. So it's really important that, you be mindful of the choices that you make now, because they matter. They matter. Everything matters. The things that you listen to matter. The things that you watch matters. The things that you intake into your, into your spirit. All that stuff matters. You know what I mean? And I didn't understand that before I went to prison. unfortunately, I didn't understand that, and I wish that I had. And I'm living the repercussions of my actions today. You know what I'm saying? So, but I want you to know that by the grace of God, He has given me a second chance. He has given me an opportunity to share my story with you all. And this is not a laughing matter. This is not a game. This is not a facade. This is not a ploy. This is real. This is as real as it gets. Since I've been home from prison, I've been doing great. I've been doing great. And I'm so fortunate for this opportunity. And I'm so grateful for everyone who has been supportive of me and my journey home, because it hasn't been easy. But I wouldn't trade this chance for anything in the world. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but here, right now, doing what I'm doing, telling my story, sharing my story. I'm working as we speak. I also have a job. I just started last week, and it's going good. It's at a restaurant, and it's not where I want to be. But I know that with hard work, dedication, and faith, anything is possible. And I have been making a lot of strides. And I'm so grateful for each and every accomplishment, every goal that we reached together. We just reached 700 subscribers over here. We're currently, on the way to getting monetized over here. So, shout out to y'all. You know what I mean? Shout out to y'all for putting in that work. Thank y'all for believing in me. Thank y'all for, fighting for me. Thank y'all for always giving encouraging words and kind words to me that lift me up and lift my spirits. I see every comment. Everything I see. If I don't respond to it, no, I've seen it. I saw it. Trust me. I try my best to respond to each and every comment. Thank you all. You all give me the inspiration to continue to keep going, to continue sharing my story. We have so much more to do. We have so much more to go. Inshallah, God willing, by the end of this year, we will be inside our first juvenile center, so we can be sharing our story in there, so we can be really getting to the grassroots of these other things that we need to be done, and that's reaching these youth, getting real hands-on with them, getting our feet on the pavement, you know what I mean, getting active, you know what I mean. That's the type of move that I'm on. We really get in the mix. We not just talking, but we really doing. You feel me? And that's the next phase of things that I would love to, employ. And I know that with the grace of God, that He got us. I know that He didn't just leave me this far to leave me here. So we got work to do, though, and I know that I got a lot of work to do. So let's go. Let's make sure y'all liking every video. Make sure that y'all are getting these numbers up, and let's go. If you want to continue being a part of Seven Society, make sure you being a part of the community section on YouTube. Follow over there. Join the Discord. The Discord is in the link in the bio and my description on my channel. So get there. You know what I mean? What you waiting for? I love my community. I love y'all. And this is only the beginning for us. And I look forward to seeing what we accomplish next. So let's go. 7's up in the chat. And I pray that each and every one of y'all having a great day today. Make sure y'all like this video, share, comment. Until next time, 7 up till we 7 up. The only thing stronger than me and you is us, y'all.